In secondary school, my favorite poet, as a result of reading The Road Not Taken, was Robert Frost. Later in life, I came across an interesting quote attributed to Frost, that good fences make good neighbours. The expression "neighbours from hell" often features in popular conversation, and at the same time, in various ways, people often hint that a good neighbour is a priceless treasure. Despite busy lives and gated communities, chatter about our neighbours remains lively and regular. Just in this last week alone, I listened to a friend describe his frustration about his neighbour objecting to his planning permission request. In a completely different context, I heard in a church sacristy praise from a woman for her Spanish neighbour who offered extraordinary generosity and kindness during the COVID lockdowns. The other day, I saw a full supplement in a newspaper dedicated to advising neighbours how to organise a street party. During COVID-19, neighbours demonstrated ingenuity and creativity in subverting necessary constraints by lining up outdoors in the streets during funerals to respectfully bid farewell to their neighbours. In a fascinating article in the Irish Times, Galway writer Frank Fahey, 69 years of age, recently told his story about the impact of COVID-19 on his life and how he has been plagued with numerous issues affecting his heart, adrenal glands, lungs, and rheumatoid arthritis. Frank was due to play the guitar at his son's wedding, but he's not well enough to attend. Frank says, "I cannot play the guitar at the moment because my fingers are all swelled up and scrunched." Then Frank describes how he has experienced kindness throughout his hardships. Leonard Fahey, the manager of SuperValue downstairs, has been more than excellent as a good Samaritan, as a human being, and as a friend. His people bring up the groceries every week, Fahey says. I loved Frank's reference to the Good Samaritan. I think it is true to say that Frank, in his own life, has experienced the road to Jericho, central to today's gospel message. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in his final sermon, the day before he was assassinated, he described the road to Jericho as follows. It is a winding, meandering road. It's really conducive for ambush. In the days of Jesus, it became known as the Bloody Pass. Dr. King then muses, and you know, it is possible that the priest and the Levite looked over the man on the ground and wondered if the robbers were still around. Or it's possible that they felt that the man on the ground was merely faking, and he was acting like he had been robbed and hurt in order to seize them over there, lure them for a quick and easy seizure. And so, the first question that the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But then the Good Samaritan reversed the question. If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him? Gustavo Gutierrez, the wonderful Latin American theologian, says it best. Who is my neighbor? The neighbor was the Samaritan who approached the wounded man and made him his neighbor. The neighbor is not he whom I find in my path, but rather it is he in whose path I place myself, he whom I approach and actively seek. The Samaritans were a despised mixed race, considered half-breeds and foreigners to the Jewish tribe. Yet Jesus chooses the hated other as his example of who our neighbor is. Jesus' parable of the Good Samaritan, as told to the young lawyer, was meant not just to call people to service and self-sacrifice, but also to disrupt and challenge their concept of who their neighbor were and were not. The Good Samaritan parable offers three important messages. First, our neighbors come from surprising places. Second, politics that creates fear of those who are not like us is fundamentally wrong. Third, love does not care if a brother or sister in need comes from one place or another. For love shatters the chains that keep us isolated and separate. In their place, it builds bridges. Love enables us to create one great family where all of us can feel at home. Love exudes compassion and dignity. Amen.